Hello, good morning, my Facebook viewers, and all of you wonderful, wonderful artists. This is CT Woods Art with another video trying to break down and simplify painting with oils. And this video is one of many videos where we're actually researching the different aspects of oil painting, and I'm trying to break down these videos to where it will simplify the process of painting with oil. And if you're graduating from acrylics, trying to move over to oil because of the benefits of painting with oil, I'm here to try to help you with that transition. Now, without further ado, this video is going to be just about mediums. And it's going to be telling you the things that I do as an artist that I use when I'm actually doing my paintings. By no means, the things that I'm going to tell you is better than anybody else's way. This is what I do to make painting with oils easy for me. And the way that I do it, it's been proven to work, and it simplifies the whole process of fat over lean, and it keeps you from making paintings to where they will never dry. Because if you use the wrong mediums and you do the wrong thing with oil, it'll take years for the painting to dry. And in some cases, the painting will never dry. And if it does by chance dry, it will have this crinkly, crackly finish. And sometimes it'll even have a gooey type consistency with the dried paint to where you can take your finger and scratch the paint off the canvas. So I don't want to scare you. I just want to help you understand the process of fat over lean. And I'm going to switch the camera around to where you can see my palette, and we can go over the different things that's needed in order for you to perfect this idea of using mediums along with your oil paints. Now, what I have here is everything that I use in my studio. And if you notice, one thing that's consistent with these mediums is that they all come in pretty much small bottles. And the reason for that is because it doesn't really take a lot of this stuff to make the oil paints stretch and do what they're supposed to do. So, you don't need a huge bottle as you do with acrylics. So, when you look at this row of mediums, it goes from fast drying to slow drying. And I'm going to break down each one of these so you can understand in layman's terms. Because what I've noticed on YouTube is a lot of the videos that they make, they're a little complicated to where you are not able to get an understanding. They're too advanced for you to understand some of the terminology and whatnot. So I'm making videos where I break it down to where most people can understand what's being said and what's being taught. Now, this is liquid. This is refined linseed oil. And basically, this is Gamsol. That's odorless mineral spirits. This is Gamblin solvent free fluid. This is made by Gamblin. This here is drying linseed oil. And this here is art painting medium by Winsor Newton. And then this here is what you call stand oil. Now, these are set up in fast drying all the way to the slowest. So starting with number one is liquid. Liquid is one of those things where you can use this to mix with your oil paint. It does two things. It adds fluidity to the paint, to where it will spread smoother and give you a more creamier, um, um, it gives you a more creamier consistency. And it also speeds the drying time of your oil paint to where it will pretty much dry overnight. You will be able to start an oil painting today. You could do paint alla prima with the liquid, and most of the probably I would want to say 90% of the painting will be dry the next day. It will be a little wet. Certain colors take longer to dry, such as like titanium white and some of the reds and some of the greens. They take a lot longer to dry, but they'll still be workable the next day. So liquid, you only use 25% to your mix. So you use, if you take the paint and mix it with the liquid, you only want to mix 25% of this to your to your paint. Excuse me. I got a frog this morning. Now, here is one of my tips. This is what I do. Now, someone in the comments might have an issue with this, but this is what I do. I have these droppers. What I've done is that I have taken a bit of the liquid, put it in this bottle, and mixed some Gamsol mineral spirits with it. And I shake it up, and basically I'm able to drop this onto my paint. And this is how I'm able to mix the liquid with the paint. And now the only issue with that is that after a time of doing it this way, it'll turn white, and it still is usable. It just doesn't look like this in the bottle. It turns white. I don't recommend using this like in this form for a long period of time because I think that it loses its ability to speed the process of the paint drying up if you kept this for months on top of months. So I only mix a limited amount, and then I redo it, put some more liquid in it, and add some more Gamsol to it, and make me another mix. But I don't let this set for months at a time. Like I'll use this in a week with all of my painting when I actually use this setup. So this is one of my little hacks. Someone in the comments may say you shouldn't do that, but this is what I use when I want to just add liquid to my paint without having to go into this bottle. Because the thing you don't want to do is open this bottle multiple times, because what happens is that it gets around the top and it makes it hard to open. So doing this kind of limits me from opening this bottle and then allowing air to get into this. And this liquid is very pricey. This bottle here can cost you $20-$30, but this is a bigger bottle. Now, liquid does come in this smaller size, which is much cheaper. You can get this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or there's several other art stores that are not near me, but they're you can also get it on Amazon, and it's about the same price throughout. Liquid is just one of those pricier mediums that, and it really does work, and I do like it. Now, one of the things I will tell you about liquid is that if you use liquid, it's going to give your finish a shiny consistency. The finish on the paint, once it dries, is going to have a very glossy finish. So if you use liquid and then go back and use Gamsol mixed with your oil and other parts of the painting, you're going to have a mid-smack sheen on your painting. When you stand to the side and look across the painting, it's going to have parts of it shiny, parts of it, flat. So you kind of want to watch. If you start out with liquid, I recommend you use liquid the entire time until you get to the end, and I'll show you another medium that you can use over top of the liquid. And that's a fatter medium than the liquid. Now, liquid is pretty fat, so you wouldn't want to use this and then go back with oil and Gamsol, oil paint, and Gamsol on top of the liquid because this is a much leaner mix than the liquid. So this is probably in the middle of the road as far as fat over lean. And I'm going to explain that. Probably I should have explained that first, but I'll come back and make sure we explain the fat over lean thing before we finish this video. But the second thing that I use, which is a slower drier than the liquid, because this is probably going to be your fastest. And there is one faster than that, but it's really not considered a medium that you buy in a bottle, and I'll share that with you right now. If you take just basic oil paint and thin it real thin and use that to block in with some Gamsol, that's going to dry very quickly because that's going to be a very lean mix, and the mineral spirits is going to evaporate very fast, and your paint is going to dry very fast. But you're going to have a thin finish. So this is probably going to be the fastest, but I wouldn't consider that part of the medium process of buying mediums to mix with your paint. That's just what you use when you're trying to probably color a background, putting down paint on the canvas very thin to basically get rid of the white canvas. Now, back to what I was saying. Now, the second fastest to me would be where you use refined linseed oil, 50-50. I take Gamsol, odorless mineral spirits, 50% of this and 50% of this. I mix equal parts 1-to-1 in a dropper like this. I'll fill up to here with linseed oil, and then the rest I will fill with Gamsol. And then I shake it and drop that onto the paint. Now, that mix there is one that I created, that I made myself. That's a C.T. Wood special. Now, some professional artists might frown on that. I don't know. But this here, by far, is probably the number one mix that I use for painting is linseed oil, 50-50. 1 part linseed oil, 1 part Gamsol, mixed in a dropper like this. You shake it up, and you just drop it onto your paint, just like you see on my palette. And you can add as much to it or as little to it as you need to make the paint fluidy or less fluidy. And this will dry pretty fast. It won't dry overnight, but it will dry in a matter of 2 to 3 days, which for me, in the way that I paint, that works perfect for me because in most cases, I don't like using liquid because it dries too fast and it don't allow me to come back the next day and work the painting. I like this time frame where it gives me the middle of the road drying. I don't have to wait a week or two for the painting to dry, but it won't dry overnight. And I like this mix better than any of the ones that I'm going to show you. I just love this mix because, and this is refined linseed oil, Gamblin. You can buy this at Hobby Lobby. And then just Gamblin odorless mineral spirits, 1 part to 1, 50-50. Same amount of linseed, same amount of Gamsol. And you mix it together and shake it up, and you just drip it onto your paint and mix it with your palette knife, and you're ready to go. And you don't have to worry about fat overlaying at all. You start from start to finish with this mix. Now, what you can do is you can just take this and just start out with this 100% just to get your painting blocked in. Then after you get your painting blocked in, you can graduate to this mix. And that would be still holding to the rule of fat over lean. In other words, you do not want to put lean mediums with your oil paint after you've put down a fat medium onto the canvas. What will happen is that the surface of the painting will dry faster than the undersurface, and it will trap the wet paint underneath from drying, and it will create a skin over top of the painting, and then the painting will never dry. It will end up being gooey, and it will have a very nasty finish to where you will put your hand on the painting, it'll feel dry, but if you take your finger and dig into the paint, underneath is wet, and basically the paint will come off as though it's got a blister on the canvas. So never put lean mediums in with your oil paint and paint over top of where you've already used a fat. And this will be considered fat, and this would be considered lean, because this is going to have more fat in it than this, and especially when you mix the Gamsol with this. Now, moving on to the next, this here is by Gamblin, and this is a solvent-free fluid. Now, some people, and listen very carefully, some people have an issue with using the mineral spirits because of the fumes that you don't smell. So if you want to have a solvent-free, where you don't use any kind of solvents, and you don't have to worry about the fumes that they claim that will be in the room that you breathe, and it's bad for your lungs and all this, you can use this Gamblin solvent-free fluid. And now this is sapphire alkali, medium. And this has no mineral spirits or any kind of solvents in it. And what it does is it increases the flow of the oil colors. It's non-toxic. And basically you can use this, but the only thing about this is that when you mix this with your paint, it dries very fast. Most of the time, this is going to be dry in 1 to 2 days. So this kind of works similar to the liquid when you use it, but not as fast. But this is a fat mix to where you have to be careful. You can't use this in the beginning with your oil paint, then come back with the Gamsol and oil on top of this, because this is more fatter than that. And what it is, and really to explain the fat over lean thing, is that most of the time you can use technically, but I don't recommend it. Technically, you could use olive oil as a medium for oil paint, but that's food grade stuff, so you wouldn't use olive oil. But technically, olive oil is a very fat medium. Sapphire oil and linseed oil, all these things come from some type of seed or some type of vegetable that you can use as a medium. All of those are considered fat mediums. You wouldn't want to start out with those mediums, then go back with something that's lean. Now, lean would be alcohol. Lean would be mineral spirits. Anything that has a petroleum distillate mix, that's considered a lean medium. Fat is when you're getting the medium from some type of seed or some type of vegetable of that sort. So that's the lean over under fat rule. Now, this right here, as I said, is solvent free. So if you want to be safe by not using the mineral spirits and things like that, this is probably your ticket. Now, but this is the middle of the road, medium. It will dry in about 2 days if you use this with your oil paints. Now, here's another one that I use, and this is called drying linseed oil. Now, in my opinion, I'm thinking that I was smart when I came up with this mix, but I think really this mix here is this Gamsol mixed with refined linseed oil, to be honest with you. And I thought that I was being smart by what I created, but really and truly, this, what I've made, is probably this in a bottle, and I just avoided buying it. So, but this dries very fast, as you can see, very fast drying oil, improves flow. All of it improves flow where it makes the paint flow, but this here is very fast. So if you use this pretty much overnight, it's going to be dry. So I recommend this one also as a medium that you can use. Now, moving on to the next is that here you have Artist Paint Medium, and this is a slow drying, suitable for fine details. Now, once you get several layers of paint where you've been painting on your painting, your oil painting, and you want to start doing details and you want to refine the painting and basically bring in the details of the actual painting to where you're starting to get close to finishing, where the paint has a nice flow to it, you want to start with your Artist Medium. But see, this is very, very fat. And you want to make sure that you use this. If you're going to use this from the beginning, use this and only use anything else that's fatter than this. This is a very fat mix. You wouldn't want to use this on the beginning, then go back with the Gamsol or something that's not as fat as this. Because what'll happen if you use this in the beginning, then come back and use this is going to dry very fast, and then this is still going to be wet underneath, and the painting will never dry. So it's very simple. And people talk about oil like as if it's some deep mystery, but it's not. It's very simple once you understand what it is that you got to consider, and it's not a whole lot to consider, and it's very easy. If you listen to this video that I've made, it pretty much explains all of this. Now the last one is this here, and this is called Stand Oil. Now this right here is for fine detail and glazing. Sometimes when you get done with your painting, you want to try to bring continuity to the entire painting by putting what you call a glaze over top of the entire painting. And you have to wait till the painting is dry. And basically this here will, in most cases, bring all the colors and all the sheens that the different mediums you use create. It will bring them to one particular sheen. And also you can mix a little dab of your paint in with this Stand Oil, and you can do what you call a glaze, where you can paint the entire painting. Now, if you are a professional portrait painter or still life painter, and you want to bring continuity to all your colors, then as myself, we do a thing called glazing. We glaze the entire painting to bring all the colors into perspective, to where if you're into hyperrealism, this is going to be your best friend. So this is probably the fattest of all of ones that I have. You can even look at the bubble, how slow it moves. That just shows you how fat and how thick this medium is. You would not want to start out with this medium. You would not want to block a painting in with this medium unless you're going to use it the rest of the time that you are painting. Now, this right here is going to dry very slow. It's just like these two are going to dry very slow. They're going to take a long time to dry. You could put this on your painting and it will probably take a week or so to dry. Now, if you want that type of open time, that's fine. But in my line of work, as many paintings as I have to produce and make, I don't have that type of time to where I can wait weeks at a time to work on a painting, unless I got a lot of paintings going on and it has time to set to the side and dry. So just to recap, we got the liquid. You got the combination that I created, that I thought I created, the Gamsol and the refined linseed oil. Then you got the solvent free for anybody who doesn't want to use the the lean mixtures that creates the gases that they claim that are toxic for your lungs, and you require ventilation in your studio. Um, and then you have the drying linseed oil, which I think is a marketed mixture of these two that I thought that I created. But in the comments, you can comment and let me know how this is made. And if it's not this, then just tell me, and it's okay. I don't take offense to it. But this is dry and linseed oil. Then you come up to your artist medium, which is basically a very fat medium that's used in slow drying, but it also gives you good flow rate on your paint, and it also allows your paint to have that very buttery mix that looks really nice when you trying to bring a solid finish to your painting. And then you also have Stan oil, which is used for glazing and final details on your oil paintings. So this basically wraps up the video to let new beginning artists and also advanced artists know of the different mediums that I use when I'm actually painting. And this is pretty much all of it right here. You won't see me go much outside of what you see here. I have learned to simplify mediums. I don't use a lot of different things. I try to keep all this stuff down to a bare minimum, because when you use a lot of different mediums, you stand the risk of putting lean over fat. And I don't want any of my paintings to crack or to never dry because of the wrong process. So to keep it straight, this is probably my number one driver here is Gamsol and refined linseed oil. And then occasionally, depending on my time, I'll use this mix here where I use a little bit, use Gamsol mixed with the liquid, shook up in a little dropper. I'll use that occasionally. And then I'll use this occasionally just because of the simplicity of it. And then these others, I pretty much just have on hand in case I want to glaze or something like that. But these are basically the mediums that I use to create my workflow, and it has helped me tremendously. I've simplified painting with oil. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to stress out about it. And technically, if you really want to have the truth about it, you could paint an entire painting with Gamsol and oil paint itself. You really don't have to use any of these. And the beautiful part about using this mix here is that it does not create any shine to your paint. When your painting finish drying, most of it is going to have a matte finish to where all the paints have a cohesive finish when it dries. So that's another reason why I like this mix here, because the paint doesn't have shine in it when it finishes. And then if you want to add a shine, you can go with a finish to where you can put a satin finish on it after the painting dries. But one thing about it, the consistency will be the same across the entire painting. And stay tuned for future videos, because I do have about 6 or 7 more videos in this series that's going to teach you the little small details that I myself on the internet have not seen artists take time to go and make these videos. So stay tuned. Remember, learn all that you can learn about painting with oils. There's so much to learn. Oh my goodness. I mean, the masters painted with oil for hundreds of years, and it still was so much more to learn. And there's so many different ideas, technologies, ways to do things. Going to college, going to school teaches you the basics of basically painting with oil, but technically, it is your world. You get into the studio, you experiment, you try different things, you learn different ideas, better ways of doing things that work better for your workflow. And as long as you got the ground rules down pat, you can deviate from there the best you know how in order to make your workflow work for you. and that becomes your trademark. And I'm just learning a lot about painting with oil, and I've gotten to a point to where I've gotten pretty comfortable with painting with oil because I've been doing it for years and it's been proven and tested. So I just wanted to share my knowledge of what it is that I do in the studio to where it can make your journey of learning how to be a professional oil painter to come to fruition. And I tell you, I started painting with oil and I haven't looked back. I just love the medium. It is just a satisfying thing. And once again, we're painting, we're lighting up the world one painting at a time. Stay tuned for the next videos. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps boost the numbers to where I'm able to create more important content that will teach you the basics of basic oil painting. I have so many other videos and information to give you all. I love what I do. I'm in a good spirit about it, and I stay in a good spirit about it because painting gives me understanding. It gives me life. It soothes, it calms me. So allowing me to come into your studio and talk with you and share my experiences with oil painting, it gives me great joy. And I want to continue to do this. Thank you for listening. Thank you. And if you've been with me this long, listening and looking at this video, I just want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me just for a little while, and just look forward to the next video. Thank you. Have a good day, and bye-bye.